Hey, 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 Michelle is back. Just had me some snacking on some fruit, food, which is my favorite thing to do. I feel like I might want to take a nap though later in a bit. I think taking naps are fantastic. If you can take a nap, take a nap. Today is Friday, March the 27th, 2026. Friday. So I finished running my errands. It was really nice outside. Um, it was a bit cooler than yesterday. It's just weird what our weather is. What's happening with our weather, particularly here, is it's in the almost 90 degrees. But when I was out there earlier, it didn't. It felt pretty good. So I'm just following up on some things about how we gamble our lives. The gambling of our lives metaphor, and how so many people are going to be devastated. I mean, literally devastated. And of course, figuratively and metaphorically, because it's going to affect your insides. You know what I mean? When it affects your insides, you're gonna feel this pain. And a lot of people used to talk about this type of pain where they just have pain all over, you know, and they had no idea where the pain was coming from. And when they would go to their doctors would say it was like phantom pain. It was pain that did not exist. But I think finally, after careful research, they realized that it is quote unquote invisible pain, but it's pain nonetheless. And so a lot of people are going to be feeling that because of the things that are happening to our planet, our energy, the electromagnetic field, and blah blah blah, which is all energy. It's all energy. And so if the planet is sick, which it is, guess what's going to happen to the people that inhabit the planet? They're going to be sick too. Okay, in more ways than one. They're going to have all this physical pain, these invisible pains, but it's pain nonetheless, right? So I was talking about earlier about how people are gambling, literally, figuratively, and metaphorically, just gambling away their life. And now everything's going to come back, man, in a such a haunting fashion. It's going to be so. It's just going to be devastating. It's not, a lot of gosh, me and these glasses and this light. Let me get this light right. Get the light right. Let's see if it can bring him some more light. It don't matter. Just listen to my voice. But so many people are going to feel the devastation and the catastrophe of the things that they've done or things that they've allowed to happen, and they're losing everything. And it's all because of their cockiness. They know it all. They think that they're the king, or the queen. They think they have this high level intelligence. It's comical and sad at the same time. Like, are you kidding me? I talked about this one person that I haven't met this person, but I just used to interact with them, wherever. Who cares where I interacted with this person? But this person is severely slipping into a state of psychosis that I sense he's going to be a danger to himself, of course, but then he's going to attempt to be a danger to others. I seriously believe, this is a belief. We can all have beliefs, but they mean nothing if you don't have the facts, right? So that's why I'm going to call it a belief. How about that? And not make it factual, because I think he has something to do with the demise of, well, let me not talk about that. Because I just have to be really careful. But because the truth always gets revealed, by the way. Did you know that the truth gets revealed? So if you were involved in some criminal behaviors and actions, you're gonna reap what you've sown. It's cause and effect. So if you cause some harm to someone, you are complicit, and you are going to be considered neglectful or involved in negligence in some way or fashion. I wanted to make this phrase, talk about this phrase. You need to know when to hold and know when to walk away. Okay, know when to hold and know when to walk away. Does anybody know what that means? Look it up. So let's look it up. I think it came from The Gambler. I don't think I ever watched that movie. I think it was a movie, right? With Kenny Rogers, or a song with Kenny Rogers. Is his name Kenny Rogers? I'm not sure. Yeah, Kenny Rogers. He had this song, The Gambler. And it was a movie out about, it says here, a literate professor and a gambler's debt caused him to borrow money from, yeah. Okay, so I'm not talking about the movie per se. Okay, let's just make that clear. I just want to give credit where, credit was due. It's a metaphor, okay? Or I'm treating it as a metaphor. So let's see what our artificial intelligence comes up with. So they got another one out, Gambling Man. So I just want to get a correct metaphor from what I'm attempting to relay. How about that? And like I said, sometimes the artificial intelligence doesn't quite go deep enough for me. Okay, so the gambler metaphor represents someone who takes risk in life, making decisions based on uncertain outcomes, much like betting in a game. The concept emphasizes the idea that life involves navigating possibilities and making choices with unknown consequences. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, life is not a game, as I've said. Sorry about the darkness in here, but oh well. You can hear my voice. But life is not a game, but yet we like to play life as if it is. Hey, those are choices that we make, but they still come with consequences, whether you are playing the game or not. And in most cases, people are playing a game, but they don't know how to play the game. And that makes a difference. You're playing a game, but you don't know how to play the game. And that's for the so-called leaders, the so-called, top of the food chain, the ones that are making these so-called decisions and, and harming people and carrying on. So here's another one. It's called a betting. I'm just going online. It says it's, making business decisions, and it involves calculated risk, strategic choices, uncertain outcomes. Is that true, really? See, that's what I mean by some things are just not quite, they're not deep enough, they're not comprehending, and that's why we can't absorb this stuff, because it makes no sense. It's contradicting. Okay, there's nothing strategic about any of this when you are dealing with high-stake behaviors and actions, such as war, financial manipulation and deception, financial speculation, and going on and carrying on and making everything a game. Most people make things a game because they're cowardly, and in most cases, people that make everything a game can't even play the game. Like these they call it Monday morning football. What is it? Let me find this metaphor. You got these broadcasters that were mediocre when they were playing the game, but yet they're broadcasters now, get paid just as much as the so-called elite athletes, and then they can tell these elite athletes how to play the game when they were mediocre and can barely, hold a ball or hit or strike a ball or whatever the game was. But yet they're the experts, Let's see. When you're doing these kind of things, it involves thinking. and I enjoy it. So, Monday morning quarterback refers to someone who criticizes or second guesses decisions made during a game, usually football, after it's already been played. It's like, give me a break, and it's true. It's not just in sports, where people are second guessing decisions other people have made, or the people are not even thinking about decisions they've made, and then people come in and second guess what they've done. Okay, you can do that too, but how about doing something? How about thinking in the beginning, doing it right the first time, making it right the first time. We're spending so much time, this, like, in hindsight, critique common uses, like elections and, all this bullshit that we play. It says it can also apply to various, it goes beyond sports, is what I'm saying. Anyone who critiques decisions in any context, such as business, politics, after the outcomes are known. We do that a lot. We just spinning and regurgitating, spending hours on, a lot of people will sit and watch this, listening to how somebody threw a ball or struck a ball, or ran into the end zone, or didn't run into the end zone, kicked the ball here, kicked the ball there. And then you have, like I said, you have these mediocre broadcasters. Usually they're mediocre. They can barely, stand up in a game when they were playing. They got into playing the game because of nepotism, their parents' pedigree. They weren't athletes at all. And that's why there's such an obsession with athletes. Like, something happened with an athlete today on March 27, 2026. It's in the media. The media, trust me, the media is going to jump all on it and make it as negative as possible. Trust me on that. There's a particular athlete, he's the greatest of all time. And, to me, he's a decent person that makes a lot of mistakes. I would, his shoes, I wouldn't mind being in his shoes, even though I don't want to be in anyone's shoes. But I think he does everything in his power to be upstanding. But, because of the spotlight on him, people won't leave him alone. That's just how it is with these elite athletes that are genuinely good people, come from good backgrounds, had good parents, good culture, were raised as best they could, but then they get this enticement. And we're all responsible and accountable for what happens to us. We get ourselves into shit, regardless of the outcome. We put ourselves in it. And the same thing with these elite athletes. They start, drinking too much, dancing too much. Well, maybe not dancing too much, but drinking too much indulgence, overindulgence, gluttony, decisions. They're not making proper decisions with their finances and blah, 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 blah. So the purpose of this video today is about this gambler theory of know when to hold. You need to know when to hold and know when to walk away. Okay? Do you know when to hold? And do you know when to walk away? That's something for you to think about and figure out on your own. So I'm going to stop this video right now. But trust me, I will be back.